watch that movie?
I don't even know what you can watch it on. Probably anything nowadays.
Probably.
I think it's on Prime.
Probably.
I'm pretty
I
sure.
don't know. Yeah.
Big Lebowski we mentioned. I know we both love that, but
Great.
We're too much on the good. We need to ease into the bad.
Okay.
Because we've
Into
seen
the bad.
we've seen some bad movies.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm one of those guys, because I'm sitting here thinking, while we're talking about the good, I'm one of those guys where I see a bad movie and I flush it.
Yeah.
I flush it away and I try to forget about it. But The Happening,
Brutal.
that is one of those movies I try to flush it. Every day I wake up and I try to flush that I wasted an hour, whatever, of my time watching that Mark Wahlberg. And Mark Wahlberg, of all people.
Terrible. He was terrible in the movie.
It was horrible.
I don't understand what role he was trying to play. Like,
Well-
Marky Mark, what are we doing? In all his movies,
Yes.
he's running towards the action.
Yes.
In his movies. Can you agree with that?
100%.
And in this movie, he's running away, and
Yes.
he's got this scared look on his face all the time.
But
And
even
it's just not who he is. In
even
movies.
just the concept of the movie alone.
Terrible.
We watched the whole movie and it still ended where it's like, I don't know what I watched.
No.
And I don't know what they were trying to present to me.
That is a classic example of a terribly done film.
Horribly.
When the movie ended and the credits rolled, I'll never forget it. Me and you looked at each other and started to laugh.
Yes.
Because we didn't know what to do. We had no idea what to do. It was that bad.
Yes.
And we've seen a lot of bad ones, but if you were to ask me, what's a bad movie? The Happening is probably my number one. It's probably my number one.
It comes in my head immediately. Like I said, I'm sure, I've watched really bad movies. I've watched The Goonies and horrible movie. So when I said at the beginning of the show here that iconic movies, I understand The Goonies is iconic and I understand what it does for people and what it means to people. The Goonies is a horrible movie. It's not good acting. It's really corny. It's really cheesy. But that's what you like about it. And you respect that.
Right.
See, that's where we're different.
Yes. See, here, and this is why I'll have to comment on this. Because, unlike most Americans, you saw the Goonies so late. You saw it, last year?
Yeah.
Last year was your first time. So
I saw
a
it.
lot of people,
I saw it when I was younger, but I didn't really remember it. And
Okay.
I didn't watch it.
Well, a lot of people, I'd say, people our age and a few years younger or older, they watch it in their youth.
Yeah.
So it becomes one of those movies to them that just kind of has a nostalgic factor to it. When it's on TV, it's just one of those things that you just kind of click on it because it brings back a lot of memories for people. And I agree with you. I acknowledge that, sure, the actual movie is not that good. The acting's not that good, of course. But
and
there's a
you
charm.
sitting here as a Goonies fanboy. I like to throw the fanboy.
That's brutal.
I like to throw that.
I am not a fanboy.
I like to throw that
Goonies.
term around.
I'm a fanboy of Saving Private Ryan and Tombstone, like we talked about.
Saving Private
I'm not
Ryan.
a fanboy of the Goonies. Don't let me believe. Don't make make that believe that.
Well, you
about us.
okay? Then as a fan of the Goonies, someone that backs the Goonies, sit here and tell me what am I supposed to take away from that movie, and what is that movie? Because I said at the end, and that's when I said I want to be inspired. I want to be thrilled. I want to be I want to be laughing. I want my stomach hurt because of a comedy. When I finished the Goonies, I wasn't laughing, I wasn't thrilled, and I learned nothing. It's not like The Happening. I'm not comparing it to The Happening, but The Goonies is one of those movies where I watch and it's like, I don't know why this is a thing and why people like this.
It goes back to why I explained it. I don't know other way to explain it other than just it plays into, because it's corny, because it's cheesy, 80s movies, it plays into that charm for people because it's a little bit corny and cheesy.
Yeah.
There's a charm that comes with that from a lot of those movies from that time for a lot of people.
Well, I'm not one of those people. I don't.
No, you're not.
I don't
Yeah.
buy into the hype. I'm not washed by it and just believe what
You're not brainwashed
everybody
by
tells
it.
me that you know what I do appreciate when I watch these old movies though? You forget because we're like in movies now. So I know Josh Brolin from movies now. You totally forget when you watch these old movies, you're sitting there watching, you go,
That's Josh Brolin.
that's Josh Brolin.
Yep.
I totally forgot Josh Brolin's
Absolutely.
in the Goonies.
Absolutely.
That is one thing I appreciate about old movies that are like starters for actors. But the other thing I love about kid actors in movies that are big movies, Goonies, Sandlot, movies like that, where those kids went afterwards. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, I don't know if you'd agree with this or not, they just disappear and go live a normal life.
You're right.
And it's always, oh, you were the kid in the Goonies, not what they're doing now.
You're right. You're right. I've noticed that too for a lot of childhood actors. Macaulay Culkin, Home Alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's an example of somebody who,
Went off
took
the
a
deep
deep
end.
turn. He's a lot better now.
And he talks about it too.
Right. He's open.
He's
to talk
very
about
open about it.
He's turned his life around, but yeah, for the most part, a lot of child actors in these movies, they don't really amount to much. But what do you expect? And
It's too much at a young age.
it's too much. And our reality when we were kids was going to school,
Having fun.
and these actors'
They
reality,
have schedule.
their reality is acting. So that's like that's their childhood. That's what they know.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's too much of it's when you're a star, whether it's music, movies, whatever it might be, an athlete, when you're a kid still, but you're expected to act like and be an adult, because these kid actors, when everybody's watching them, they got to behave. Because if they, a guy that just comes to my head right away that was just so harshly judged was Justin Bieber,
Yep.
and I'm a believer.
I know.
And yeah, big time. You think back to when he was into fame and how harsh people were on him. And it's like, it's the same thing with like these kid actors, why I think people disappear. It's the Disney Channel kids. It's the, those
Sure.
type of people. They disappear and a lot of the time go down very dark roads.
Yep.
Whether, whatever it might be. I think
Well, a lot
of
of times it's
drugs.
It's
Yeah,
drugs. Let's not pull each other's leg here. It's drugs. They can't deal.
They can't
with
handle
the
it.
fame. They can't deal with the stardom, and that's understandable.
Very
because
understandable.
It's too much.
Yes.
It's just too much at that young of an age to comprehend what exactly is going on, and kids probably want out of it. They want out of it just as much as they might want to be in it because they don't quite know what their reality is.
Yeah.
Because they're around it their whole life.
And how much do you think these kid actors, how much do you think behind like a kid actor like the Home Alone, like Sandlot, like all these, is like a very pushy parent that's living through their kid behind it?
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying though?
I know what you're saying.
It's the deal of the kid that, the dad is really all over him,
Sure.
doing all the extra stuff with football, and the kid doesn't even like football that
Right,
much.
right,
But he's
right.
just naturally good at it, but he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Because I don't know if a kid, where my head goes, I don't know if I was a kid, the fame to, being famous and all that might be, but the schedules and the responsibilities and the interviews and the this and that, come on. What kid wants to be, all right, you got, the Tonight Show at this time, then you got to
Being
go
an
do
adult.
this, and then
Yeah.
you're an adult.
Right.
That's an adult lifestyle, following a
Right.
schedule. Kids, you don't have schedules. I didn't have a schedule when I was a kid.
No.
My schedule was the mandatory school I had to go to, and then whatever I want to do afterwards.
Right. Yep.
Because you're a kid.
Yeah. It's like we said, it's just too much. It's too much for kids at that age. they need to have fun. They need to ride their bike. They need to play with their friends.
Yes.
And cameras and lights, from what it seems, is not a good recipe for people. For
a recipe
people
for
later
disaster.
in life. It's not a good recipe.
There's not a lot of
Fame
people.
in general,
Is not
for a
good.
lot of people, is not a good recipe.
Right. It's
We have an epidemic of musicians and artists overdosing.
yep.
It's hard to,
And it's the pressure.
of course.
And it's see, and that's where I go to, where I think you see where people don't, actors, music people, athletes, the ones that I don't think don't do it. I'm not saying like Michael Jackson and all these other people, Whitney Houston, all these great people that OD'd and Mac Miller, all these people. It's not that I don't think they didn't love what they were doing, but maybe something about them, it wasn't them, but that's what they kind of got molded into, and that's what everybody fell in love with. So now that's what I gotta be.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly
And
what
now
you're
there's
saying.
that pressure every day. Michael Jackson's gotta be Michael Jackson.
Right.
And maybe he doesn't want to always be Michael Jackson.
Right.
He wants to be something else.
Right.
Maybe Mac Miller doesn't want to always be Mac Miller.
Right.
But he has to. Because he's famous and people, not everybody follows that, what their, famous thing are.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think there are examples of artists or celebrities or what have you that do really enjoy their lifestyle. Will Smith, I know, is a guy who's outwardly said multiple times how he really enjoys being famous. I think certain artists, me and you are both lovers of John Mayer.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he is a guy who, I see him on the internet quite a bit. He's posting stuff a lot. He's comfortable with himself, and he's in love with making music. That's just what he loves to do.
Yep.
He loves to make music. And
Well, and he does it his way, and he doesn't care.
Right.
You kind of mentioned Will Smith. Will Smith, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, just people that come to mind. They do it their way, and they're not shy.
care
About,
what other
they're not
people-
shy about fitting a mold or if they're
they
going
don't
outside.
care what other people think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas some stars, I always tell people, I can't say what I would be like if I was famous, because the not famous Bo might not be the same as the famous Bo.
Of course.
Because the not famous Bo, I do my own thing and I don't care what people
course, yeah.
say or think about me. But if I got millions, billions of people, fans of me, watching every single move, every single post, and I got cameras and mics on me all the time throughout my life,
different ball.
that's a different Bo.
It's different ball.
That's a
I think
different
it'd be
ball.
different anybody.
Yeah.
Money seems to change people, whether they like it or not. We can talk about this discussion of money doesn't give you happiness, money doesn't do this or that. But no matter what the discussion is, money does change you.
It does.
It changes you.
Yep.
And whether it is for the good or the bad, it changes you. And there's tons of evidence
Right.
behind that.
Right.
Not just in famous people, in everyday life. People walking around everywhere making six figures, people walking around making 30K. And the walks of life are different when that money goes up.
Yes.
We know that.
Yep.
We know that.
Absolutely.